Game number 2 here of a best of 3. And game 1 was intense. Players got into a nice spot, but it was HyuN who was able to battle through and take the lead. Overgrowth is going to be the host of our second game, so let's introduce these two players. Spawning in the lower left hand spot, representing ESC, we've got the blue Terran player, GoOdy. And to the top right, his opponent, one victory away from advancing into the semi-finals, guaranteeing himself at least 75 euros prize money, HyuN. So HyuN, in game number 1, probably went for the best response to GoOdy's style. Swarm hosts and Mutalisks in the mid game. Started off with an awful lot of roaches, and they were definitely the right choice. Able to defend a push early on from GoOdy that was intended to deal a lot of damage. From there, the swarm hosts are obviously always going to be good. They can trade very cost effectively if they're positioned nicely, and just wear away that deadly mech army. And then the mutas, despite the rings of missile turrets, the multiple Thors, were able just to slowly pick apart any tanks that strayed a bit too far away. And generally it was just a brilliant example of fantastic multitasking and exceptionally good control from the Zerg. So this game, getting a pretty normal opening from HyuN. 15 hatch into what was a 14 pool there. And yeah, this is all very, very good times. Meanwhile, on GoOdy's side, he's adding in a second barracks. Now this is a bit more unorthodox. Going to be looking to get those Reapers numbers really climbing high quickly. And this is a different build to what GoOdy did in the last game. Ideally going to be trying to get some more damage early on. Going to be trying to harass HyuN a little bit further to prevent him from getting into that nice mid-game spot where he was able to get out those roaches. Overgrowth's a good map, or a relatively good map for Reapers as well. There's a little bit of dead space you can bounce up. Cliff area you can bounce up. But this is in no way the same as the Season 1 maps. Some of those had such an incredibly large amount of cliff area. Reapers were fantastic. So what does HyuN see? Sees one Rax and saw the Reaper coming out. And he's actually got himself into a position where he's assuming that's all that's coming, is that there's going to be the two Reapers. Hasn't actually moved the Overlord any closer to confirm or check anything more. Does move up now, but still doesn't actually see that second barracks. And it is quite different because HyuN isn't going to be dealing with the normal and expected 2 Reapers. It's going to be 3+. We could even see 5 Reapers out. It's a lot of aggression very quickly. And as the clock ticks over, now we're just going to be going up to 4 by the looks of things. Although GoOdy not got enough gas for another one. There we go, it's going to go up to 5. So this is a big commitment to Reapers. The Lings on patrol command here though are just such a smart move. If the Reapers jump up, they have no way of knowing the Lings are there, and the Lings will instantly surround any Reapers and instantly take them down. The 2 Queens at the front can hold them off for a while, but it's by no means easy because the Reapers regenerate health up very fast when out of combat, and the Queens don't. So you can actually wear the Queens away, as we're seeing happen now. But their damage output is fairly good. The important thing for GoOdy is he doesn't lose any of these Reapers, so they can heal up. HyuN is going to have to make additional Queens as well. Needs to be going up to at least 4. Glad to see a 5th one on the way. This is actually a really good response to this. And by getting the Queens, you're not having to sacrifice some of your drone production in order to mount a solid defense to this. HyuN also knows there's no natural base yet. Can't actually quite see the additional command center nor the factory coming through. What he knows is he's got a good number of Queens and he's going to be trying to stop this. Pulling back a damaged Queen, that's the one that's about to have enough energy for a transfuse as well. And GoOdy unfortunately takes the first losses with that poor Reaper dying. Back at home, one lone Marine is busy trying to kill off an Overlord. Working away at it steadily. May get the kill actually, it's going to be fairly close. If this goes down, it's annoying for HyuN because he's already supply blocked. Does manage to save it for now, but the barracks coming over will confirm its death. There's no real way HyuN can save that now, but it does buy him time to basically prepare, get another Overlord on the way, and it also doesn't supply block him because he already had 2 coming through. So this is all looking good. We've got 4th gas coming out for HyuN. Third and fourth, actually. So he's going up to a lot of gas before the third hatch. Adding in a lair, adding in the Rotron and double Evo chambers. And this is really reminiscent of game number 1 from HyuN. GoOdy's played it a lot different, so while the timings have been knocked back by a minute or so, those timings have been knocked back on both sides. HyuN having put up a good defense to it, and GoOdy having to obviously get out those 5 Reapers. And while they both have lost a similar amount, a Reaper on GoOdy's side is probably more annoying than obviously HyuN losing a single Overlord. Because HyuN, his drone count is nearly double that of GoOdy's. HyuN hasn't had to sacrifice any of his economy in order to mount that defense. He just pumped out some queens, delaying some of his tech a little bit. So really HyuN defended that perfectly, and he's in a very good spot as this game moves forward. We've got Overlord speed coming through. We've got obviously the +1/1 missile attack upgrades on their way, and Roach speed should get started now the lair's done, and right on cue, there we go. Third hatch is a bit delayed, that's annoying, but as I mentioned, this is all due to the earlier aggression from GoOdy. And because he committed to that aggression, his own economy, his own tech has been hit due to it. HyuN being a bit late on his third doesn't matter too much. What does matter is this follow-up push. It's seen now by an Overlord, but are there any Roaches out? 5. They should be able to hold this. Roaches are incredibly good against Reapers and Hellions, so not too much of a concern for HyuN at the moment. And it's important that HyuN is able to hold this. If he takes much more damage, or if he takes damage from this push, it'll be really frustrating for him. GoOdy doesn't have Cloak for his Banshee. And considering the queen count is very high, up at 6 queens off of 3 bases, I'm a bit dubious how effective it can be. But what HyuN isn't concerned about is that push. He wants to know what's following up from it. Can he just break his opponent? And there's a big difference this game, and that's the lack of a tank. Tanks really are the response to those Roaches. You need them. It's not even like a nice to have, it is a requirement. Stopping these Roaches without a high tank count is going to be ridiculously hard, if that is what HyuN decides to do. Looks like HyuN may actually go for the Roach drop technique, adding in ventral sacks, adding in a lot more Roaches. Where are all the Overlords going? Are they actually heading across to get into that nice spot? Couple of Marines, couple of Hellions, couple of Reapers go down there. Some nice damage done. Meanwhile, the Roaches still just chilling about, having a bit of a nice time. Unfortunately, a few of them dying to these Banshee, which they don't have any way to deal with. Back at home, HyuN, he's got Ventral Sacks nearly done, adding in a lot more Overlords. Preparing the fleet of Overlords. Ready for the mass pickup of the Roaches and the Endeavours into the natural or potentially main of GoOdy. GoOdy's yet to build his wall of missile turrets as well, so the Overlords do have a fair bit of space to try and sneak on by. We've got Roach Burrow Tech or Tunneling Claws coming through as well now, so these Roaches can try and sneak in. And different this game, oh no, there is a missile turret, never mind. First 2 tanks also down on the field. These are integral to GoOdy being able to hold off any kind of land-based Roach push. And the positioning of them is again great. This position, utilizing the high ground, is something that you should always strive for. Especially against the Roach pushes into this wall. Even if you had an Overlord here, which couldn't really get that close thanks to the missile turret and the Vikings, these tanks are so hard to kill. Only a couple of Roaches could actually even reach them. So good positioning by GoOdy, really utilizing this map geometry to his advantage. But HyuN about to throw out a bit of the unusual sneaky tactics. Gonna be going for Roach drops. First things first, he wants to assume dominance of the map. He wants to make sure that there is no vision of this. GoOdy cannot have chance to prepare. Secondly, he needs to move in boldly, firmly and aggressively into that main base. He may even just ignore the main and just say, hey, you've got some tanks here, I'm just going to drop my Roaches on top of them. Looks like that may actually be his plan. Few queens on the ground, they're also getting picked up. The transfuses really can be a big player in terms of keeping this army alive for a while. In go all the queens. Forward go the Overlords now. Is there enough anti-air? 3 Vikings. 2 missile turrets. The Overseer's going first though to draw their attention. A couple of Roaches on the ground. The missile turret's now turning quickly. Unfortunately firing on the empty Overlord. Down come all of these roaches, and this is a bold move, but it's working. The roaches crush through that tank line, devastate the Terran army, and they're still pushing forward. Multiple tanks dying, and GoOdy right there. GG's out. HyuN struck GoOdy when he was vulnerable, and it was the killing blow. HyuN advances 2-0 over GoOdy into the semi-finals of Go for SC2 April finals, winning himself a minimum now of €75. We'll see how he gets on in those semi-finals after this.